Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you guys for coming out. This is a great day for the city of Pittsburgh, not just because it's a beautiful day and we're getting ready for the Pittsburgh Marathon this weekend. We're here to learn about what the city has been able to achieve that has never been done before. That is acquiring the fewest number of injuries requiring medical attention in a year ever recorded in the city. And that's all of City of Pittsburgh employees. I know you're the media, but that is something we all are very happy about and we should be applauding. At this time, I would like to bring forth the Honorable Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, Mayor Ed Gainey. Sir.
You always got to adjust a little bit. Good morning, everybody. I want to first thank everybody for being here. Thank you. You know, when I first came into office, I wanted to make sure that we did one thing, and that's to make this city the safest city in America. Often, when people hear the word safety, they think of our dedicated public safety bureaus, and I'm proud of the work that they do every single day, each and every one of them to keep us safe. But I also had a broader vision for what it means to be safe in our city. And that means starting with all 3,600 of our city employees and wondering how we can keep them safe as they do a critical work every single day. We want to make sure that they stay safe every single day. I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Jeff Webster, who challenged me and my senior leadership team to rethink how we think about work and safety. And I am very grateful for him for coming to us and saying, let's reevaluate how we look at work and safety. That the people who know most about what they do are the ones that are on the front line. And as you know, we have visited a lot of our frontline workers to find out how we can better serve them, to find out how they feel about things, and to make sure we're doing what they believe needs to be done to keep them safe. Through his mentorship and with the help of our Innovation and Performance Department, we created a new way of learning, a thing called the Learning Line, and more importantly, a learning culture. We believe that every day you come to work, you should learn something. It's never about what you know, but it is always about what you learn. And so learning how to be safe, whether that's physical or psychological, does a lot in inspiring and improving the morale of all of our employees in the city of Pittsburgh. As part of the process, I was able to follow a crew in our environmental service division to learn more about how the work goes. And that was deep, because just like we went with DPW to learn about snow when I first came in, we also went around to the rest of DPW. And I don't know if Chris is here. Hey, Chris, come on up here for a minute. Is Sean with you? Sean with you? No. Chris has done a phenomenal job of making sure that we discover what keeps our workers safe. And I brought him up here just so I can congratulate him on all that he's done. I wanted to make sure I did it publicly. Say, I appreciate you. Appreciate you. It was during this process that I had a firsthand look at how dangerous things could get. They had hooked their wrench up to a large trash can on the north side. And as it was lifted into the air, the wrench got locked. And when it locked, it started sparking fire. You could see it sparking fire right off at the top of the wrench. The line had become tangled, and we now had hundreds and hundreds of pounds off the ground, and removing it would take patience, because without patience, it would be harmful to everyone involved. I immediately began thinking about what I needed to do to change this. What we need is all new wrenches. That's what I thought at first. Let's just buy all the vehicles, new wrenches, and make sure this don't happen. How could the city find the funding for this? What do we have to do? It is the trucks and dumpsters causing the problem. I always thought that's where I would find the answer. But I was reminding that before I took action, I should talk to the closest to work. And that's what set us around to talk to the frontline workers to find out exactly what was going on and what we could better do to resolve the situation. And after talking with the crew, we learned something new. We learned something new. Not what we know, but what we learned. That a simple fix is to create a new policy where at the end of each shift, the wrenches would be stored properly in order to make sure that they won't get jammed on the next shift. So we had to make sure that they stretched it all the way out so that when it went back up, it would go up the proper way. This solution would save the city thousands of dollars and had the potential to keep our crews safe as they go about their jobs. This was a major moment for me in my leadership. And this experience was the catalyst for creating the new real-time safety system that we piloted in DPW. Now, I would like to bring up my Chief Operating Officer, Lisa Frank, to come forward and talk about the real-time safety system. Thank you.
Second. Good morning. Thank you, Olga. Good morning. As Mayor Gamey said, I'm Lisa Frank. I'm the city's Chief Operating Administrative Officer and the person that the mayor charged with building a real-time safety system for the city, which may actually be easier to build than it is to describe, but I'm going to give it a shot. All in all, the city employs about 3,500 people, and as you know, a huge number of them do work that directly exposes them to a number of hazards. Bullets, fire, contagion, dangerous machines, and also something that we're just beginning to get our arms around, which is trauma. And when we took office in 2022, our analysis of the injury data from our workers' comp claims showed us that the city of Pittsburgh was a very, very dangerous place to work indeed. Because Alcoa down the street has been such a leader in the area of safety, not just locally, but internationally, we often check ourselves against their records. And when we began, we learned that your chances of dying or being seriously injured working for the city of Pittsburgh was about 300 times as great as working for a company that made molten aluminum in unregulated countries. We had almost no systems or resources in place for addressing the shock or grief experienced by a grounds crew, say, who in the course of their work find somebody who is overdosed. And it seemed to us that one of the most basic ethical obligations of any employer is to send people home from work as healthy as they were when they came in. And that any real respect for workers meant being very serious about preventing harm on the job. So the mayor asked me to work with Pittsburgh Futures and with our I&P department to institute what we call the Real Safety System, which I'm going to say RTSS, so I don't have to keep saying that over and over again. RTSS begins with the shared agreement that no injury is an acceptable injury. Now, sometimes people say to us that we should aim for an injury rate that's in the middle of the pack for municipalities of our size, or that we should look to improve our DART rate by 10% annually. But if you actually believe that no injury is an acceptable injury, then your goal has to be zero harm. And the RTSS is the tool that we use to get us closer and closer to that theoretical limit of perfection. So how does it work? It's astonishingly simple. We train and coach every city employee to do 4 things every single day. Whenever there's a safety incident, we immediately care, then we contain, then we solve to root, and then we share what we've learned with everyone else so that the same incident never happens again, at least not for the same reason. Care, contain, solve to root, and share. That is really all to it. There is to it. So along with the mayor, our directors, and all kinds of people across the city, I look at the RTS log every morning for the to see what has been logged. What did the safety incidents be? How are people caring, containing, solving to root, and what are they sharing with us? It's sobering to see how frequently people are hurt here. It is truly heartening to see how hard folks are working to take care of one another. And it's also startling to realize just how often we would get things wrong if we were not using the RTSS method. Let me give you an example. During our last snowfall, we had a plow that crashed on Mount Washington. Time for our 4-step routine. As we expect, the log shows that the first response of frontline supervisors was to care. And thankfully, in this case, the worker was not hurt. The second is to contain, not much to say there. The crash truck wasn't going anywhere. It couldn't harm anyone else. Things got interesting, however, when it came to solving to root. To do a good root cause analysis, you have to talk to everyone involved, gather all the perishable information, go and have a look, and you have to keep asking why, like the most irritating toddler that you know. This is what the log shows us about solving to root. First, why? What happened here? What caused this crash? Answer, the truck lost traction and slipped. Second, why? Why did the truck lose traction and slip? Answer, because there was a sheet of ice on the road. Third, why? Why was there a sheet of ice on the road? Answer, because it's winter. Fourth why. Does winter make ice sheets on all the roads? Why was there ice on this road? Well, to answer the fourth why, people had to go and have a look. And what they discovered right along that hillside was an overgrown and clogged culvert. No longer able to convey storm water, the water that should have been in the culvert was spilling into the street where, under the right conditions, it froze under the snow and caused a skid and crash. The solution then was to clear the culvert, get it into a routine maintenance cycle, and log it so that we begin to find all of the other clogged culverts so that we would not have the same accident again for the same reasons. I want to point out two things about this example. The first is that no one began by blaming the driver. As the mayor always says, we cannot and will not tolerate deliberate harm. We cannot and will not tolerate indifference to our common safety. But the only way to make our city the safest city is to uncover and discover and to learn and learn and learn. And the RTSS is about creating a culture of constant and rapid improvement where there is no room for finger pointing. The second thing to note is that in solving to root, your ultimate solution is only as good as your last why. And in the example of the crashed snowplow, there was a point in the conversation where people could have stopped at the incontrovertible fact that winter brings ice. The log shows, in fact, that some people did stop there, saying that ice comes, our best remedy would be new trucks with more power that wouldn't skid. Now, I am all about new trucks and more power, but in this case, the real solution was far cheaper and easier and had the tremendously important benefit of not only helping DPW drivers who do have fairly powerful equipment, but any other resident who travels on that roadway during a freeze. Getting to that last why means being curious and open to the idea that what we are used to is not the way that things have to be. So multiply that example, the snowplow, by hundreds of other problems that have been reported and resolved in the RTSS, and you begin to see how we're transforming safety incidents into the very tool to prevent their occurrence elsewhere, making it harder and harder and harder, day by day by day, for anyone to suffer injury at work. I'll conclude where I know the mayor would want me to conclude, by expressing immense gratitude for the skill and heart of our public servants and for the still too dangerous work that they do to create this wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lisa Frank. Now, the hardest thing regarding a pilot program is actually doing it. And I would like to bring forward the director of the DPW department that took on doing the pilot, Chris Horstein.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for being here. You know, the journey to RTSS has been really interesting and rewarding for me personally. I gotta just say that, you know, kind of as Lisa just mentioned, it's a pretty simple system in practice, but it really requires the dedication of everybody involved. And I think that's the thing I enjoy most about it, is that it gives dignity and respect and humanity to every single person that works for the city. If there's an issue, they can raise it. If their immediate supervisor can't solve it, they will raise it to the next level and so on and so forth. My leadership team, we review these every single day as a team, you know, to make sure that we're honoring our commitment to our frontline workers' safety. And it's been eye-opening. It's been surprising. You know, the manner of safety incidents for our employees face every single day in public works is wide and varied. Some of them are probably obvious examples of slip and falls and overexertion. But there's a variety of things that aren't so clear, you know, animal encounters to truly bizarre. I won't get into those details, but you know, those things come to light and we see those now for the first time as a leadership team, what our folks are experiencing every single day. And it's truly eye-opening. It truly speaks to the dedication and commitment of our frontline workers to get work done on behalf of the city. You know, not all root causes are obvious. As Lisa mentioned, you know, the staff, all of us really have to work together with the frontline worker who's experienced a safety incident to really figure out exactly what's going on. And I think one of the really good example is We had a frontline worker, who was injured on the job, overexertion, lost focus. When we started asking why, well, why did you lose focus? Well, I was hurrying. I was trying to get my job done. Well, it's like, well, why were you hurrying? And they're like, well, it's so cold out here. And we're like, well, how is that? Why is that affecting you? And he's like, well, my feet are freezing. And it just turned out that the employee in question didn't have adequate footwear for the job that they were experiencing. And so we rectified that. But we didn't just rectify it for that individual employee. We looked at all of our policies and procedures around our personal safety equipment. And so, this is a true team effort. And it's not unique to Public Works. I want to make sure I thank our other city partners here, other departments. Department of Innovation and Performance has provided us, invaluable expertise and support, as well as our departments of Public Safety, Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, as we kind of work together and solve some of these crucial problems that not only our workforce is experiencing, but also the public in general. We like to think of ourselves at Public Works as, everything that we do is for the safety of the public. We're trying to make this city clean and safe every single day. In order to do that, we need our folks to be safe as well. And so, with that, I want to make sure that I thank the members of my leadership team, Bill Crean, Chip Gall, Marcel Newman, Sean Weigel, Ed Cox, Joe Rush, formerly retired Tom Pollen. They've been instrumental in setting this up and setting the example. Without them as a team of people, this would not be possible. And so again, Mayor, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for their support in this. It's been a wonderful journey. It's been a journey of, 1,000 small movements, not one big holistic change. I think that's the thing that's really exciting for us. I think that gives hope to everybody involved, that not everything has to be a big dramatic effort. That a team of people working together, making small, thoughtful adjustments for the safety of all can just have a tremendous impact on themselves, their folks that they care about, and the residents that they serve. Thank you.
So the pilot program, of course, came through the DPW department. But as you see these men and women behind me, the program is in all the departments. We did not get to the fewest numbers of medical attention of workers not injured by ourselves and just with one department. These men and women with the frontline personnel made that possible, and they deserve a round of applause. Now, for those of you who are thinking that we arbitrarily just decided that the city at this time has the fewest number of injuries, medical attention seeking, I'm going to bring forth Chief Officer of Data, Chris Velasco.
Thanks, Olga. Thanks, Mayor Gainey. Thanks, Chief Frank and Director Hornstein. I'm Chris Velasco. I'm the Chief Data Officer for the Department of Innovation and Performance. I'm here to talk a little bit about how we track the results of the work that we're doing, because one of the big differences that we've been able to do is make tracking important to be able to say whether we're getting to a result. So companies are required by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to report on safety using a standard metric every year. Municipal governments are not. But measuring it on the same standard that they use means that we can track how we're performing effectively and know if we're getting better or worse. So the change we introduced is this real-time safety system. And now we're able to see that we have the lowest rates and fewest people encountering workplace injuries in the history of the city. So we've worked with the Department of Public Works to pilot this, and they've used the system, and we've tracked this OSHA safety metric. And so it's called DART, or Days Away, Restricted and Transferred. It's serious injuries. So DART is a way to see if people are getting injured in an organization. The way it's calculated, it helps normalize across organizations so we can make comparisons, as Chief Frank was saying. So in DPW, since the introduction of the system, the rate has improved from 26 days lost in 2022 to 10.5 per year this past quarter. So we've improved the rate 60%. In this time, the citywide DART rate has decreased from 11.7 days lost in 2022 to 7.7 per year in this past quarter, a 34% decrease. And so this is a way to say that we've reduced that figure to 7.7 injuries per 100 workers in a given year. And so the benefits of working together on safety are shared. They're a data story as much as they are a worker and a culture story. But we're growing a culture to ensure that we have the kind of safety that we need for our workers. And since the introduction of the system, we're getting better and we keep getting better. And it's funny because we're talking about data and systems, but what's really important to this effort is to sustain it and use that culture to continually improve. Thank you.
Now, some of the information that Chris presented to you, you can see on the posters on the graph directly. This is the indication for the years of the information that you need. I would like to bring forward back to the podium, the Honorable Mayor Ed Gainey.
You know, the results speak for themselves. I just want to thank everybody that helped us to get here. When we have fewer workers out because they were injured on the job, it means we have folks available to pick up your garbage every day. The fewer injuries, the more people we have at work, and we know how important picking up garbage is, so we want to thank them. We also want to make sure we thank the people that fill these potholes every single day. Last year, we did more than ever. Clean up our vacant lots and maintain our parks. Keeping our workers safe is good for the financial health of our city, and it means our residents can continue to count on having the type of core city services our city deserves. That's extremely important. Working together, we've been able to create a new culture for our employees. And I want to bring up Jeff Webster. I want him to come forward for a minute. I wanted to bring him forward because I wanted to thank him. Because I believe that every day you should be learning something that's going to make your workers safe, make your city safe, make it a welcoming place, and giving us the ability to thrive. And we can't thrive unless we keep our workers safe. And that's from a physical and psychological standpoint. So our constant conversations in regards to what we need to do that has been extremely fruitful. And I wanted to make sure I brought him forward and tell him thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And to all our city workers, thank you for being the city heroes. Thank you.
At this time, I will open the floor to questions from the media. I know you have some. Yes, ma'am. Marathon question? Director Schmidt?
Yeah, so this weekend's the marathon, tomorrow is the kids race, and then Sunday is obviously the large marathon. We've had it for years. I think everybody fairly well knows the routine by now. We do want to make sure everyone pays attention. If you're in the marathon route and your car's parked there today and tomorrow, that's okay. But starting 11 o'clock tomorrow, we will have to start towing any cars that are in there. Those marathon routes are well marked with no parking signs. So around security and safety, we have our typical plan of, our police as well as county, state police, and others supporting that Port Authority, university police as appropriate. We also have our EMS, significant number of EMS agencies from across the county and across the region supporting that, as well as both health systems. It is a big undertaking, but we do this every year, so we don't really have any concerns. We're ready to do this and hope everyone has a great race weekend and look forward to it. Thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions? Going once? Going twice? Sold. No more questions. Thank you guys for